Hey everyone, Karnak here, Star Wars Armada Explained. Thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to be looking at the objective Station Assault. This objective is actually pretty unique as what we have so far until Rebellion of the Rim drops. So there's some things I want to read before we get started the objective, and this is about stations. You'll find this in your Corellian Conflict rulebook, which I never really looked at till now. But one thing we should know about stations is that a station consists of cards similar to squadron cards, and it says in here that stations are treated as ships when resolving effects. Stations use the following rules when they are attacked or perform an attack. Now, these are unarmed stations or even the station in general, for over here. But for the most part, we're going to be talking about the unarmed stations that are included in Station Assault. So again, they're treated as ships. It doesn't specify what size of ship they are, just that they are a ship, meaning that cards that specify a ship size, like small, medium, large, that stuff doesn't, apply. Like Constantine can't work with the unarmed stations just because they're ships. Constantine still has a specification that says needs to be medium or large ships for him to work. So no, unarmed stations can't be used with Constantine, can't be used with some other effects. Want to make sure I'm giving that clarification out because just because it says again that it is a ship, it doesn't give a size class to it. They only have one hull zone when they are defending, in this case. They also cannot suffer any sort of face-up damage cards, and also you cannot resolve any critical effects against them. So no APTs, ACMs, etc. You can't deal any face-up damage cards to them. It should be noted, and a lot of people make this mistake, I've made this mistake before, is that you actually do deal face-down damage cards from your damage deck when they take damage. So, sucks for a Rebel player who's like running Dodana, who relies on milling your deck to get the crits he wants. But in this situation, you do take your own damage deck, and you're putting face-down damage cards onto the stations. Obviously, if you do get into a long enough game where you run out of damage cards, if the stations have been destroyed, you just reshuffled your discarded damage cards into a new damage deck. That's in the rule as written. So yeah, in the stations. So when you do destroy the unarmed stations, again, I've seen this error before, is that you do not remove the stations from the play area. They stay there. Some players will pick them up and pull them out of the way. It's again states right here, do not remove them from the play area. They are still there. They still count as obstacles. It still counts for the for whatever objectives they are. They still continue to obstruct line of sight, but you can no longer recover any health from them or hull or discard any damage cards. Another point on here too is that if you are overlapping a station, you cannot attack the station. So, for example, if you had this interdictor overlapping the station or any other ship or a squadron, if they're overlapping it, they cannot attack the station. That's a hard rule. You can't do it. So don't run them over and then try to shoot them because it will not work out very well for you. All right, so I think that I've covered that from the rule books for the stations. Let's see, a destroyed station. Yeah, you can't like bring it back to full health or anything like that. Once it's destroyed, it's destroyed. Things of that nature. Perfect. Yep. All right, let's move on. So Station Assault. Let's read the card. It says set up, place obstacles as normal, excluding the regular station. So this regular station that you normally would have, you chuck it out the window because you're going to get these two. So you would place obstacles as normal, excluding the station. Then the second player places the two stations in the setup area. Each station must be placed beyond distance 1 of all obstacles and beyond distance 3 of both players' edges. Both stations are unarmed stations. Place both unarmed station cards. Whoops. Near the second player's ship card. So we'll start with that setup. You see I've got some other stuff down over here. Don't worry about that quite yet. We'll get to it. So we'll toss out the obstacles out here. There we go. Perfect. And what's the stipulation is it needs to be beyond distance 1 of all other obstacles, so that's standard, and it needs to be beyond distance 3 of both players' edges. Well, being the second player, I don't know why you would ever place this to your enemy. So beyond distance 3, that's that horizontal line right there. So they can be this far. Distance 3. And again, make sure you're beyond distance 1 of all other obstacles. So you can do something like that. And then the station can be friends over here. There we are. That's beyond distance 1, beyond distance 3, and as the second player, you can place those close to you, like so. You take the unarmed ship cards, you place them next to your other ship cards. Again, they're treated as ships. So the unarmed stations have a unique property in the fact that they are considered ships and they are considered obstacles. They're both at the same time. It's one of the rare instances where you will have that in this game. Special rule: the first player's ships and squadrons cannot resolve an unarmed station's effect to discard damage cards or recover hull points when they overlap it. End of game. The second player gains 1 victory token for each unarmed station that is not destroyed. The first player gains 1 victory token for each unarmed station that is destroyed. So, pure benefit for second player: if he overlaps the stations with his squadrons or ships, he's able to heal damage from that. And only if the first player manages to destroy the stations does he get any chance of scoring any points. So as long as the first player at least destroys 1, he negates the objective. If he can destroy both, he will gain 80 points. So something to keep in mind as first and second player. Let's see here. So that is Station Assault. So there is no other like crazy rules or super crazy interactions. I'm going to cover a few specific nuances and things that can happen with Station Assault. So remember, Station Assault is still an obstacle, as I mentioned before. So something like Grav Shift Reroute from a interdictor, you can treat those as obstacles. So for example, if you did put this the Grav Shift down, you can actually Grav Shift them even further into your lines. And some people will do this. They'll make a point fortress list. They'll chuck these down here. They'll sit down here at speed 0, and they say, okay, now you spend 2 to 3 turns trying to come get me. So you spend a lot of time trying to get to your opponent. And if they also brought something like what's that upgrade card called, the GX, the Gravwell projector. So if they put that, for example, in front of where they have their stations, so if you deploy in that area, you go speed 0, guess what? Like, now you've got to deploy even further away. So definitely some deep shenanigans can be had with this objective. Now, debatable ultimately how good that is or is not. I'll let you guys figure that out. Another thing about these unarmed stations, we'll go ahead and get these moved out of the way, is that since they are treated as ships, something like targeting scramblers can be used in their defense. Because targeting scramblers, all it says, while a friendly ship at distance 1 to 3 is defending at close range, during the spend defense token step, you may exhaust this card to force the attacker to reroll up to 4 die of your choice. And you may say, but Karnak, the stations, they don't have defense tokens. Well, that doesn't mean that they still don't have a spend defense token step. You still go through all the same steps of an attack against the station as you do anything else. What's the first step? You check range, you check line of sight, etc. You roll your attack pool, you modify your die. And in this situation, most times when you attack the unarmed stations, they don't have defense tokens to spend, so yeah, you do go right through that step to the resolve damage step. Well, again, that step still takes place. It doesn't say that it doesn't happen. So when you do make that attack, you're done modifying your dice to the defender. If he has an interdictor nearby, he can target Scrambler 4 of your die and make you re-roll them and potentially do less damage on those stations. Also, as the attacker, you can still use a card like Intensify Firepower, because again, that you're technically a station is considered a ship, so you can turn a blank die or an unuseful die to a hit, and that way you can still add extra firepower to these obstacles with Intensify Firepower, because again, still considered ships. You just can't resolve any critical effects like APTs or ACMs, things of that nature. Another interesting aspect is with flotillas. Again, repair crews. What does repair crews say? Instead of spending engineer points, you may discard 1 damage card from 1 friendly ship at distance 1 to 2, because again, it doesn't specify a size class. It just says a friendly ship. Stations are still ships. Repair crews can still affect them. Now again, whether that strategy is good to bring 2 flotillas with repair crews for something like that, that's entirely debatable, up to you. And again, remember that you are dealing damage cards. They're always face down for these stations. So something like repair crews is you just take the damage card and you discard it completely. Now remember, when these stations do reach 0, they are considered completely destroyed. Even if you were to go back over with repair crews and take a card back off, to try to get its health back, that can't work. It's considered destroyed. You can no longer regain any health, etc. So that's Station Assault. Pretty interesting. I know I like it. I don't run it as much as I would prefer to, just because, you still have to try to protect these things, and they can very easily be taken out, with a couple of good rolls. But that's Station Assault. Of course, if you feel like I missed anything or if I got anything wrong, please be sure to point that out. Let me know. And again, you can't use Admiral cards like what we have on here. Again, Constantine doesn't work. Mahdi doesn't work because, again, it specifies size classes. So, and again, most of these other commanders are like when you're making attacks and things like that. So just remember that. But again, questions, concerns, comments, requests, anything else, leave a comment. As always, I will catch you guys next time.